how's it going? My name's Kevin. Welcome back to episode 5 of Let's Play the Blues Together. So in today's lesson, we're going to expand upon day 4 and we're going to start getting into a little more riffing, but we're going to switch the key. So today we're going to talk about the key of A minor, which we did in episode 3, and we're going to apply the A minor pentatonic scale to this. So we're going to talk a little bit about riff construction again. I'll give you a few examples of riffs that you can play, and then I'll show you how to make your own riffs and give you a chance to jam along with the backing track that we have created for you today. So get tuned up and let's get to it. So a little review here on the chords. So we're playing a minor blues, same format as the normal 12-bar blues, which there is a link for in the description. If you haven't checked out the 12-bar blues so far in the series, you need to check that out. So the chords that we'll use today are A minor, which is right here, middle finger, 2nd fret on the G string, D minor, and these are the first position versions of these chords, middle finger, ring finger on the G and C strings, index finger on the E string on the 1st fret, sounds like this. And then an E minor chord, which is played here. And then we have one more passing chord, which is going to be the E flat minor, which is played like this. So I have ring finger, 3rd fret, pinky finger, 3rd fret on the G and C strings, my middle on the E string, 2nd fret, my index on the A string, 1st fret, and that sounds like this. Nice and tense because it's only a passing chord. So those are the chords that we'll need for today's lesson. And the strumming pattern, we're going to keep it consistent. We're going to use that variation of the island strum, which is down, down, up, up, down, up. And we're going to be doing down, mute, up, mute, mute. So if you need to review the strumming, that's happening in day 1 of the series. You can go back and check that out. So I just wanted to review those things pretty quick here, but mostly what we're going to talk about today is how to apply riffs. So the scale that corresponds with the key of A minor blues is the A minor pentatonic scale. So I'm going to give you guys 2 patterns that you can use here. And again, scales are just a map of notes that you want to play over the chord progression. So you're never going to play scales over these patterns. You're basically just going to take notes from this. So the pattern that we have for the A minor pentatonic starts with open C string, and then middle finger, 2nd fret on the C string, open E string, and then ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, and then open A string, and then ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string. So we have open, 2, open, 3, open, 3. So that's the first pattern that you can use. So any of these riffs here that you want to use in the first 3 frets, you can just use that pattern. Now, the second pattern, which is connected to the first pattern, goes like this. So we have index on the C string, 2nd fret, ring on the 4th fret on the C string, and then middle finger here, 3rd fret of the E string, pinky, 5th fret of the E string, middle on the A string, 3rd fret, and pinky on the 5th fret A string. So let's walk through that pattern. So we have 2, 4, 3, 5, 3, 5. So if you haven't worked on this scale very much, before you start trying to construct riffs, it's a good idea to play through these patterns. If you're looking for something to add to your warm-up routine, let's say you're working on the blues, you're working on the key of A minor, I would spend my practice time warming up with this scale every day. Then you really get acclimated with it. You'll really be able to visualize where the notes are so that when you're trying to apply riffs, you'll know where to go. Your hands will already kind of be in sync with the instrument on where to play. So I also want to mention here that when you're playing scales and riffs, you want to allocate a finger to a fret. So if you're in the first pattern here, I always try to keep my index over everything that would play the 1st fret, middle over the 2nd, ring over the 3rd, pinky over the 4th. If my pattern shifts, I shift my hand so I still have maximum coverage of the neck. So that's just a good general rule of thumb when you're playing riffs and scales or anything melody oriented. You really want to make sure that you maximize your coverage. You don't ever want to play these scales by moving one finger around unless you're trying to do a certain type of technique. All right, so now I'm going to show you guys how to incorporate a couple of techniques to really liven up your riffs, liven up the scales. So the first technique is called a sustain. So I'm going to hold the 5th fret down here on the E string, and then I'm using my thumb to pluck the single note here with my hand braced underneath the body of the uke. So here's what a sustain sounds like, and I'll show you how to do it. So a sustain would sound like this. So to actually sustain a note, what you do is you take your finger, and sometimes you might want to have all of your fingers on the string because it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is where your actual front finger is. And you can use this to kind of shake this note. So as you do the plucking here with your strumming hand, with your fretting hand, you're basically trying to get that note to wobble a little bit. So that's something you need to work on your own and practice, but just really listen for that little wobble in the note. And it's very simple, just kind of shaking your finger back and forth will create that little bit of a wobble in the note that almost creates a little bit of a trem effect. So when you're trying to apply a sustain, which I'll show you in the demonstration, that's how you'll do it. The second technique is called a slide. So what a slide is where you take your finger and actually create multiple notes by sliding your finger. So rather than playing 2-4 with single plucks, 2-4, I'm going to pluck the string one time while I'm still on the C string here on the 2nd fret, and I'm going to slide my finger from 2 to 4. So in order to do that, I need to keep really good pressure on the string. If I lose any of the pressure, I lose the slide. So it's really important to keep your thumb with good pressure on the back of the neck and really keep your finger with good pressure on the string. So you slide from 2 to 4. So I created 2 notes now with 1 pluck. You could do that through the entire scale. You just want to make sure that you're sliding from notes that are within the scale. So I'm going to do a demonstration now over myself again, which I know you guys love. So I'm going to show you a couple of these different techniques in real time as we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the riffs that you saw me playing there were incorporating what I talked about, which was the sustain and the slide technique. So I'm going to give you a few riffs here now that you can apply when we do the play along jam track right after this. So really simple sustain riff you can do that only uses 2 notes here. 5th fret on the E string, I'm going to sustain that twice. So I pluck that 2 times and then shake it the whole time. That's right, shake it like a Polaroid picture. I think that was the... So I go 1 sustain, 2 sustains, and then I play 3rd fret on the A string, and then back to 5th fret on the E string, sustain. So that riff sounds like this. So you can create something that really sounds cool with just a couple of notes, and that's an example of it there. So sustain, sustain, and then 3, 5. So that's an example that we'll use here for you to try in the play along. And the second one that I have for you here incorporates a slide technique. So I'm going to start on the 2nd fret here on the C string, and I'm going to take my middle finger and slide it to the 4th fret. So I start the riff with, and then I'm going to go 3, 5 on the E string, and then 3 on the A string. Then I'm going to end it with a sustain again on my A note on the 5th fret of the E string. So nice and slow here, we have 2, 4, 3, 5, 3, 5, sustain. One more time. So those are 2 riffs that you can use. Again, I encourage you to take some of what I'm saying here and make up your own riffs. So using a lot of the techniques that we've talked about throughout the series, you can kind of come up with your own riffs to play over the play along track, and that's what I would encourage you to do. I also want to mention that I do have a play along jam track created for every day of this series at allforuke.com. If you're a member there, you can check those out. You can download them to your device. Practice the blues wherever you go. It is probably one of the most important things is to play along. So if you don't have somebody else to play with, this is a great way for you to kind of have some repetitions and play along with some tracks. So what we're going to do next here is I'm just going to play the chord progression, and I'm going to have you guys at home try to play these riffs. I will also kind of demonstrate the riffs as we go and count and show you how to do them in real time. Ready? Go 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna do the sustain again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Add a little blues face to it when you do it. It always goes a little better. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's get that slide riff in here. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. That nice sustain. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I hope you guys had some fun learning some new riffs today in the key of A minor. We used the pentatonic scale and spent some time learning a couple of different techniques that you can incorporate into your riff playing, the sustain and the slide technique. Now I'm thinking about doing an entire series based on playing riffs, single note melodies, incorporating these techniques. So if you think that's a good idea, let me know in the comments. I'll kind of base my decision on if we get a lot of positive feedback, or if you guys don't really want to play any more riffs, you can let me know that too. I will say, if you guys want to practice these riffs, practice these techniques, playing over practice tracks is the best way to do that. You can get tons of repetitions, you can really work on the techniques and really hash things out, get plenty of time to play your scales. That's the best way to get better, is explore, have fun with it. And those practice tracks are available at allforuke.com for members. So if you go over there and check those out, you can do a 7-day free trial. Maybe try a few of the jam tracks, see if it's something you dig. If you do, you can keep going with it. I have tons of cool resources on there in addition to the blues that you can try. All kinds of cool stuff, songs and otherwise. My name's Kevin. I thank you so much for joining me for this series. I look forward to more cool series coming in the future. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you know when the next video is coming out. And as always, let me know where you're playing the blues. I love hearing from you guys around the world. I read every comment that I see, every email. I love hearing from you guys. You're awesome. I'll see you next time.
This sunny day